11 kilometers of silence. Welcome, and thank you for joining us on this descent. For our last journey, we looked upon the mountains, the pillars of our world, and found that even they are moving, alive on a geologic scale. Tonight, we turn our gaze away from the high, bright peaks, and instead, we begin to fall. We turn our attention to the vast, encompassing darkness that cradles 70% of our planet, the deep ocean. This is not a journey of speed or discovery, but one of descent and deliberate quiet. This is where curiosity slows and the true science of stillness begins. Lie back now and allow yourself to settle completely. Imagine the surface of the water above you. It is brilliant, agitated, and full of sound. That is the world we seek to leave behind for a while. Our destination is a place 11 kilometers deep, a place where the sun is only a faint, ancient memory, a place of absolute quiet. The ocean's surface is a lie. It is a canvas of wind, waves, and noise, a chaotic boundary zone defined by light and air. The reality of the ocean, its true, immense self, lies far beneath this agitated skin. Below 200 meters, the ocean ceases to be a playground of light and transforms into a realm governed by three unbreakable laws: darkness, pressure, and silence. Think of the sounds you hear every day: the rush of traffic, the constant chatter of voices, the incessant clamor of information. All these sounds are carried by air. But as we begin our metaphorical descent, the air is replaced by water, a medium so much denser, so much more profoundly still. The sound you hear now, the gentle sound of my voice, is meant to serve as your single, soft anchor against the rising tide of external noise. Let the idea of the immense, cold weight of the water above you press down on your busy mind, gently forcing it to be still. We are seeking the Bathypelagic zone, the midnight zone. This is where the last ghost of daylight is finally completely extinguished. If you were standing here, 99.9% of the sun's light would have been absorbed, scattered, or consumed. The water is vast, cold, and utterly black. But this darkness is not empty. It is pregnant with the oldest forms of life, and it offers the most profound sense of peace imaginable. To truly appreciate the deep, we must abandon human concepts of fast and easy. Our journey is defined by geological patience and biological adaptation. We are traveling past known limits, past the depths reached by free divers, past the deepest cruising submarine, past the places where light can even whisper a name. Imagine that you are a silent observer, a tiny speck suspended in the water column. You feel the temperature drop steadily, a deliberate and measured change. The world stops being an unpredictable place of wind and surface chaos and becomes a highly ordered, stable environment. The pressure begins to mount, not as a crushing enemy, but as a vast, heavy, all-encompassing blanket, a dense stillness that prevents any sudden, rapid movement. This stability is the key to deep-sea life, and it is the key to deep relaxation. We are traveling to the zone of hydrostatic equilibrium, where every external force is immense, yet perfectly balanced. There is no weather here. There are no sudden changes. Only the steady, unwavering presence of the cold and the dark. This is the ultimate sanctuary. When you are surrounded by such ancient, immense forces, your daily worries, your temporary surface-level concerns become irrelevant. They are too small to survive this immense weight. Allow your eyes to close completely. Feel the weight of the blanket that covers you, mimicking the weight of the water. Let the darkness behind your eyelids merge with the profound, lightless deep we are entering. We are descending now into the Bathypelagic zone, where the only movement is the slow, silent current, and the only history is the history of deep time itself. Breathe and sink. The twilight descent, the disappearance of light. We begin our true descent now, moving away from the agitated, bright surface layer where all our human knowledge and daily experience reside. The sun, which defines life on land, holds total dominion over the top 200 meters of water, a region aptly named the photic zone, the zone of light. This layer is a vibrant chaos, a furious, bustling ecosystem, powered entirely by photosynthesis, where plants flourish and predators chase. For us, this layer represents the hustle and noise of the waking world we leave behind. But even here, in the sunlit upper layer, the light is already changing. Think of a beam of white sunlight. It is not a single color, but a complete spectrum. As it hits the water molecules themselves begin to act as a selective filter. The first colors to vanish are the reds, the oranges, and the yellows, the warmer hues that give our world its sense of comfort and immediacy. These longer wavelengths are absorbed almost immediately. By the time we reach 50 meters down, your world is already fading into shades of cool blue and green. This is the first profound lesson of the deep. Warmth is temporary, and color is an illusion. Close your eyes again, and visualize the gentle subtraction of color. First, the vibrant red of a sunset fades from your mind's eye. Then, the warm orange of a campfire dwindles. What is left is pure, unadulterated blue. This blue is the most efficient color at penetrating water, and it is the last visual connection we will have with the surface world. This initial filtering is the ocean's gentle warning, a promise of the monochrome stillness to come. As we glide past the 100-meter mark, the change is accelerating. This is where the light begins to thin dramatically. If you held out your hand, you would notice the blue becoming a deeper, less forgiving color. We are passing through the last realm of true biological productivity. The majority of the ocean's plant life, the phytoplankton, cannot survive much below this point. Their reliance on direct, powerful sunlight anchors them firmly to the surface. As we move past their domain, we are leaving the world of energy that is given, and entering a world of energy that must be earned. The true boundary begins around 200 meters. This marks the transition from the photic zone into the dysphotic zone, also known as the twilight zone or the mesopelagic. Meso means middle, and this zone is the middle ground between light and oblivion. Here, only a faint, ethereal blue-gray glimmer remains. In this zone, light is not a source of power, but merely a rumor. It is too dim for photosynthesis, yet it is enough to cast a shadow. This faint illumination creates the ultimate biological challenge, an environment where you are permanently trying to hide but have nowhere to go. Creatures here have evolved spectacular adaptations to cope with this perpetual twilight. Many possess large, upward-facing eyes designed to capture every last photon of residual light from above. Others use counter-illumination. They generate a soft, pale light on their undersides to match the dim glow from above, effectively erasing their silhouette and making them invisible to predators hunting from below. Imagine yourself standing in a vast, subterranean cathedral, lit only by a single, impossibly distant skylight, filtered through countless layers of thick, tinted glass. The light is there, but it is cold, abstract, and carries no warmth or direction. This is the quality of the twilight zone. It is a world perpetually stuck between day and night, where the only absolute is the knowledge that soon even this ghost of illumination will vanish. This is a profoundly meditative space. The speed of change has slowed. The harsh contrast of sun and shadow has melted into a continuous, soothing gradient of gray-blue. There are no sudden movements, no bursts of color, only the soft, patient draining away of the visual world. Allow your breath to slow now, matching the rate at which the residual light is absorbed by the deep. We are suspended here in the waiting room of the deep. The final frontier of light is crossed near 1,000 meters, or 1 kilometer. We are now leaving the twilight zone and entering the Bathypelagic zone, or the midnight zone. The darkness is complete. Below this depth, the sun has absolutely no influence. No light penetrates here. If you could hold up the most powerful flashlight in the world, its beam would be swallowed by the blackness within mere feet. This is the true, eternal night of the ocean. The only light generated here is bioluminescence, light created by the creatures themselves, used for communication, hunting, or mating. These lights are brief, focused, and utterly self-contained, serving only the organism that produces them. They are not scattered by the water to illuminate the wider environment. They are sharp, isolated sparks in an infinite void. We have arrived at a place where the visual noise of the world is finally, irrevocably turned off. There is a deep, soothing sense of freedom in this absolute darkness. You no longer need to see, and you no longer need to be seen. You are liberated from the pressure of visibility. The entire ecosystem here operates on senses far more ancient and reliable than sight. Vibration, chemoreception, and the silent understanding of immense, uniform stability. Feel the profound calm that this darkness offers. It is not an empty darkness, but a darkness full of the universe's most ancient materials, suspended in cold, tranquil water. The temperature here is a constant, stabilizing force, hovering just above freezing, a sign that the currents of the surface world cannot reach us here. You have made it past the threshold. You are fully immersed in the realm of the deep, where the primary color is black, and the primary sensation is peace. Я прошу прощения за путаницу. Вы абсолютно правы. Мое предыдущее объединение подглав было поспешным. Мы должны следовать структуре последовательно. Мы начнем главу 1 со второй подглавы «The Boundary of Blue» – «Граница синего», объемом около 1000 слов на английском языке. We continue our deliberate descent, moving beyond the first bright strata and entering a zone of profound transition. We are crossing the threshold from the sunlit photic zone into the dysphotic zone, often referred to as the twilight zone or the mesopelagic. This region spans from roughly 200 meters down to 1,000 meters. Meso means middle, and this is truly the middle ground. the long, slow goodbye of light. If you could look up now, the sun would be a distant, brilliant coin, too far to warm you, but still present enough to cast an unsettling, omnipresent blue glow. This blue is the deepest secret of the ocean. As we established, the longer, warmer wavelengths, reds, oranges, yellows, have already been absorbed by the water column above. Only the most energetic, short wavelength blue light remains, penetrating the density of the water like a whisper through a thick curtain. This residual blue light is the defining characteristic of the dysphotic zone. It is too faint to support the energy production of photosynthesis. This means that visually, the environment is shifting from a vibrant, multicolored world into a monochromatic realm of blue-gray. The world you perceive is thinning, becoming abstract. All the rich, complex visual detail we rely on at the surface, the texture of objects, the sharp definition of shapes, begins to melt away into the uniform hue. Allow yourself to feel the soothing nature of this simplification. Your eyes no longer need to process chaotic color information. They can relax into the single, deep, consistent shade of the water. This twilight is a form of visual cleansing, removing the distractions and the frantic energy that bright, shifting light encourages. The only illumination is a soft, continuous ambient glow, emanating from every direction and yet coming from nowhere specific. For the life forms that dwell in this perpetual twilight, this faint light presents a unique and existential challenge. There is enough light to reveal a silhouette from below, yet not enough to provide illumination to hide in. A dark shape moving against the faint blue sky above would be instantly visible to a predator lurking in the deeper, darker water below. To survive here, creatures must become masters of evasion. This is the domain of counter-illumination. Many mesopelagic organisms, from small fish to squid, possess specialized, light-producing organs called photophores on their undersides. These photophores generate a soft, pale blue light, precisely matching the intensity and color of the dim residual sunlight filtering down from above. By adjusting their light intensity, they effectively erase their own shadow, blending their profiles seamlessly into the background. Imagine being able to turn off your shadow, to become an invisible, free-floating being. There is a deep, profound sense of release in being unburdened by definition or visibility. Here, survival is achieved not through speed or aggression, but through perfect visual neutrality. It is an evolutionary mastery of stillness and disguise. As we descend deeper into the dysphotic zone, the environment settles into a state of intense, almost unnerving stability. We pass through the thermocline, the layer where the water temperature rapidly drops and stabilizes. Below the thermocline, the temperature remains virtually constant for kilometers. There are no warm spells, no cold snaps, no seasonal shifts in temperature. The currents here are slow, massive movements, not turbulent, localized eddies. This constant environment is the core of the deep sea's meditative quality. The physics of the ocean itself conspires to eliminate sudden change. The water is a buffer, a massive shock absorber that smooths out all the planetary volatility. For our own bodies, this stability translates into an invitation for the nervous system to relax. When the environment is eternally consistent, the body's need to be hypervigilant, to react instantly to a change in temperature or a sudden wave is extinguished. Breathe in now and exhale the notion of change. Embrace the cold, dense consistency of the water around us. Feel yourself suspended in a medium that will not shift, that will not surprise you, that is utterly indifferent to the chaos happening thousands of meters above. We are moving slower now, driven by the increasing weight of the water, which presses us gently but firmly toward the ultimate quiet. The light is fading quickly now, and the boundary of blue is becoming indistinct. We are reaching the point where the last photons of sunlight, those tiny, energetic messengers from the surface, will be entirely consumed. The twilight zone is closing its eyes. Ahead lies the midnight. Я понял ваш запрос. Мы продолжаем наше погружение, переходя к третьей подглаве главы 1, где остатки света окончательно исчезают, и мы вступаем в мир вечной ночи. Вот третья подглава «The Midnight Threshold» – «Порог полуночи», объемом около 1000 слов на английском языке. We are reaching the definitive boundary of the sun's influence. This is the midnight threshold, the invisible ceiling of the great abyss, situated at approximately 1,000 meters or 1 full kilometer below the surface. We are exiting the dysphotic zone and entering the bathypelagic zone. Bathos means deep, and this is where the profound stillness of the ocean truly begins. At this depth, the light has not merely dimmed, it has been completely extinguished. Every single photon of sunlight that managed to pierce the atmosphere and travel through the dense upper layers of water has been absorbed. There is no background illumination. There is no ambient light. If you were floating here and your eyes were adapted to the dark for days, you would still perceive only absolute, unyielding blackness. This is the liberation of the visual sense. Imagine the finality of this darkness. It is not the darkness of a moonless night, which is still filled with the scattered glow of stars. It is the perfect, total blackness found only in caves or underground vaults. This level of darkness forces a complete restructuring of the senses. Vision, which dominates our waking world, is now obsolete. The creatures that live here either possess small, vestigial eyes that serve little purpose, or they have evolved massive, specialized eyes that only look upwards, waiting for the bioluminescent signature of prey, silhouetted against the last ghostly trace of light above. For you, the listener, this total visual void is an invitation to profound relaxation. When the world gives you nothing to look at, your mind is finally free to stop looking. All the tension held in your ocular muscles, the involuntary strain of constantly scanning for movement and color, is released. Allow your inner landscape to become as still and dark as the water around us. The environment at the midnight threshold is defined by its uniformity. We are now far below the turbulent, warm surface currents. The temperature here is stable, usually between 2°C and 4°C. This temperature stability is a key element of the deep sea's meditative quality. Where there is no temperature fluctuation, there is no need for metabolic anxiety. Life forms here operate with incredible energy efficiency, moving slowly and conserving every precious calorie. But the most significant factor is the pressure. At 1,000 meters, the hydrostatic pressure is about 100 atmospheres, or 1,470 pounds per square inch. This is equivalent to having a large car sitting on every square inch of your body. Yet, for the denizens of the deep, This pressure is not a burden. It is a fundamental element of their internal chemistry and structure. Their bodies are perfectly tuned to this dense environment. For our meditative journey, this pressure acts as a colossal, invisible blanket. It presses down on the water, eliminating turbulence and ensuring that our descent is not just slow, but unwaveringly steady. The chaotic, swirling motions of the surface world cannot reach us here. We are held in place by an ancient, unchanging density. Feel the weight, not as a threat, but as an absolute guarantee of stillness. You are anchored in the deepest, most stable rhythm the planet offers. In this perpetual darkness, the only light is the self-generated, intentional spark of bioluminescence. Here, light is not a global resource. It is a weapon, a lure, or a signal. Visualize isolated flashes of sapphire blue and emerald green. These flashes are the language of the midnight zone, a swift, non-verbal communication that disappears almost as quickly as it appears. A tiny anglerfish may dangle its glowing lure to attract prey. A deep-sea squid might deploy a bright, luminescent cloud to startle a predator. Crucially, this light does not illuminate the surroundings. It serves a single, specific purpose before vanishing back into the black. This scarcity of light encourages focused attention. It teaches the value of essential communication. When the deep speaks, it does so with purpose and without lingering. Let your internal dialogue learn this lesson. Minimize the noise. Maximize the intention. In the total absence of external visual stimuli, your mind can finally stop reacting to random input and begin to settle into its own inherent stillness. We have now crossed the threshold. We are officially in the deep abyss. Let the cold, steady pressure of the water column cleanse your mind of any residual light or noise from the surface world. We are descending into the next great layer, the realm of the eternal dark. We have crossed the threshold, leaving the last memory of light a full kilometer above us. We are suspended in the vast, enveloping blackness of the Bathypelagic zone, or the midnight zone, which stretches down to almost 4 kilometers. This is the first great layer of the true abyss, and it is a place defined by two profound absolutes: darkness and consistency. This darkness is not temporary, like the night above the surface. It is the permanent, unyielding state of existence. It is the absence of visual distraction, and in that absence, we find an ancient, elemental peace. Imagine that the entire visual spectrum, all the colors, all the busy shapes, all the immediate demands on your attention have been gently, irrevocably turned off. The darkness wraps around you, a soft, heavy, velvet curtain that eliminates the need to look, to scan, or to react to visual stimuli. In this lightless depth, the environment becomes the ultimate equalizer. There is no need for camouflage colors, no need for the intricate, frantic patterns seen in the reefs above. The dominant colors of life here are the deep, rich blacks and grays, or the strange, translucent reds that the bioluminescent blue light cannot effectively expose. The goal of every creature is minimal visibility and maximum energy efficiency. The temperature here is a key component of the deep sea's meditative quality. We are far below the turbulent mixing layers of the surface. The water temperature is steady, a frigid but consistent 2 to 4 degrees Celsius. This near-freezing consistency is vital because where there is no temperature change, there is no climatic stress. Up above, life must constantly burn energy to adapt to seasonal shifts. Down here, the environment is a perfectly regulated, climate-controlled vault. This uniformity demands and rewards stillness. Metabolic rates among the deep-sea fauna are incredibly slow. Creatures conserve energy over long, stable periods, sometimes waiting patiently for days or weeks for a single, fleeting meal. This pace is a powerful lesson in patience and sustainability. Allow your own inner thermostat, the anxiety that generates unnecessary heat and energy, to align with this deep, constant cold. Feel the calm efficiency of a system that has found its ultimate equilibrium. There is no rush because there is nothing to rush toward and nothing to suddenly react against. In the zone of eternal dark, movement is a profound decision, almost a sacrificial act. Every single twitch consumes precious, hard-earned energy, and every movement risks generating a hydrodynamic trail, a subtle vibration in the water that a sensitive predator can instantly detect. This leads to a world of exquisite stillness. Many deep-sea inhabitants are buoyant, gelatinous, and require minimal muscle to stay suspended. They are masters of passive drifting, utilizing the slow, silent deep-sea currents to move with minimal cost. They are simply there, waiting, existing with a deep, serene lack of haste. Imagine adopting this rhythm. Let your body relax to the point where any motion feels deliberate, considered, and necessary. The frantic, hurried, and often wasteful movements of your waking life are completely alien here. Here, stillness is survival, and stillness is peace. Your only required motion is the deep, steady, in and out flow of your breath, grounding you in this quiet, dense environment. The combined effects of total darkness, constant cold, and hydrostatic pressure create a space of ultimate sanctuary. The turbulence and noise of the surface world, the ships, the storms, the breaking waves, the chatter of marine mammals cannot penetrate this deep. We are in a realm of acoustic stillness, where the only sounds are the occasional faint clicks of deep-sea shrimp or the singular, purpose-driven flash of a bioluminescent signal. The deep ocean, therefore, offers a physical and metaphorical escape from the tyranny of surface chaos. You are protected by the sheer mass of water above you, a protective blanket 4 kilometers thick. This is a fortress of stability built by the laws of physics. As you conclude this first chapter of our journey, feel the comforting weight of the darkness. You have successfully detached from the demands of light, heat, and visual complexity. You are anchored in the quiet consistency of the abyss, ready to explore the physics that defines this world. Pressure and form, the physics of the deep. As we settle into the bathypelagic zone, we must confront the central, defining reality of the deep ocean. Pressure. Up on the surface, we live under the weight of the air, the atmospheric pressure, which we rarely notice because we are perfectly adapted to it, a constant, subtle push exerted by the entire column of air above the planet. But here, as we descend, the weight is no longer air. It is water. Water is dramatically denser than air, and its weight accumulates with terrifying speed. For every 10 meters we drop, the pressure increases by 1 atmosphere. At the bottom of the midnight zone, at 4,000 meters, we are under 400 times the surface pressure. This is the physical force that makes the deep abyss so alien, and yet so uniquely peaceful. Imagine this pressure not as a single, crushing blow, but as an equalizing force. It is the density of the medium that holds everything in place. The pressure is not applied from one direction. It is applied uniformly from all sides, from above, below, and laterally. This perfect hydrostatic balance is key. It means that while the force is immense, there are no sharp, directional stresses or twists. The environment is one of total compression, but also total harmony. Allow yourself to feel this compression now. It is a weight that eliminates turbulence. It takes the swirling, chaotic energy of the surface and converts it into pure, dense stillness. Your own body, as you lie here, is protected by the dense, warm mass of your blanket, mimicking the water's weight. Let that feeling of being held, of being utterly surrounded by an ancient, unmoving force, dissipate any tension that remains in your muscles. The pressure doesn't just crush things that belong on the surface, it actively shapes the life that belongs here. The organisms of the deep have adapted in ways that offer profound lessons in simplification and efficiency. They are the masters of minimal architecture. Deep-sea fish and invertebrates famously lack the air-filled internal organs, such as swim bladders and lungs, that would instantly collapse under this immense weight. Instead, their bodies are designed for density. Their tissues are often high in water content, sometimes gelatinous, ensuring their internal pressure perfectly matches the external hydrostatic pressure. There is no internal struggle against the environment. There is only seamless integration. Think of the barotrauma, the pressure shock that affects surface dwellers. It happens because of an imbalance between internal air and external water. The deep-sea creatures have eliminated the air, eliminating the imbalance, and thus eliminating the potential for stress or trauma from pressure fluctuation. This is the ultimate structural security. Their lives are defined by this unshakable certainty. The pressure will not change. Imagine building a life and a body around this single, powerful truth. Nothing external will surprise you. Your environment is stable, immense, and predictable. This biological stillness translates directly into a calming concept. Adaptation is peace. When your inner self is perfectly adapted to the demands of your environment, the struggle ceases, and you are simply allowed to be. We tend to associate pressure with deadlines, stress, and anxiety. But here, in the ocean abyss, pressure is an overwhelming source of meditative calm. It acts as a massive physical and energetic shield. Firstly, it ensures the acoustic quiet. Sound, while traveling faster underwater than in air, is quickly dispersed and absorbed in this dense, deep environment. The immense pressure dampens vibrations and prevents the chaotic transfer of noise from the surface. Down here, the cacophony of human activity, the rumble of ships, and the roar of waves are completely silenced. The silence is not merely the absence of sound, but the physical consequence of immense density. Secondly, pressure guarantees stillness. Any creature that attempts to move quickly, to rush or thrash, must fight against the colossal inertia of the dense water. This fight is too expensive, consuming precious energy. Therefore, only the slowest, most deliberate, and most necessary movements occur. The environment itself enforces a pace of life that is fundamentally slow, contemplative, and conservative. As you lie still, Visualize the immense, gentle weight of the water column above you, purifying the space. This is a fortress built not of stone, but of physics. The pressure holds the water still. The water holds the sound still. And the stillness holds your racing thoughts still. This profound density is your protective blanket. It is the unshakable certainty of the abyss. You are enveloped in the absolute weight of the world, and in that weight, you find unwavering support. We are safe here, resting in a realm where physics itself enforces the deepest, most sustained form of peace. As we reside in the continuous, pressurized darkness of the Bathypelagic, we begin to study the creatures around us not as exotic anomalies, but as masters of stillness. This absolute, unwavering stillness is the anatomy of the deep, the perfect integration of form and environment. The life here is an ode to minimal effort. Think of the water itself. It is so dense, so heavy, that to move quickly requires a catastrophic expenditure of energy. The evolutionary pressure is therefore not on speed, but on efficiency and patience. Most deep-sea fish have poorly developed musculature compared to their surface cousins. Instead, they rely on neutral buoyancy, often achieved through highly porous bones, minimal skeletal density, and tissues rich in water or low-density oils. They are designed to simply float and wait. Imagine this biological principle applied to your own body. If every tense muscle, every twitch, every unnecessary movement cost a tremendous amount of energy, you would instantly seek the most efficient, motionless state. This is the wisdom of the deep. The state of greatest rest is the state of greatest survival. Motion is a luxury. Stillness is life itself. Feel your own body now. Are you holding tension in your jaw, your shoulders, or your hands? These are surface habits, the unnecessary readiness to react to non-existent chaos. The deep ocean teaches us to shed this readiness. Let the pressure of your blankets and the metaphorical weight of the water column press out any last remnants of muscular resistance. Embrace the efficiency of being perfectly still. A major adaptation in the deep is the prevalence of gelatinous forms, creatures that are essentially water suspended in water. Siphonophores, certain jellyfish, and various types of mid-water organisms achieve survival through structural simplification. Their bodies are mostly composed of a jelly-like matrix, which means their internal density is nearly identical to the external water density. This means they achieve perfect hydrostatic balance. They don't have to fight to stay afloat, nor do they sink rapidly. They are, quite literally, buoyant perfection. This gelatinous form is the ultimate anatomical response to immense pressure. No hard cavities to be crushed, no air to compress, and minimal metabolic requirement for structure maintenance. The gelatinous anatomy is a metaphor for mental flexibility. When we are rigid, when we hold fixed beliefs or resist change with mental bone, we are fragile under the pressure of external events. But the deep-sea creature teaches us to be fluid, to be soft, to allow the pressure to pass through us without distortion. When you have no internal resistance, you have no internal stress. The water holds you because you allow yourself to be entirely part of the water. This is the deeper meaning of immense stability. The environment is not stable because nothing moves, but because everything that exists is perfectly adapted to the forces that govern it. The anatomy of stillness extends to the cellular level. When surface organisms are exposed to deep-sea pressure, their proteins begin to distort and malfunction. The pressure literally squeezes the water molecules out of their essential structures. To counteract this, deep-sea organisms produce high concentrations of special molecules known as piezolytes, pressure-stabilizing compounds such as TMAO. These molecules prevent the water from being squeezed out, ensuring that the necessary hydration around proteins is maintained even under extreme pressure. In essence, these creatures carry their chemical peace with them. Their internal environment is stabilized against the most powerful force in their external environment. This deep chemical stability is the biological guarantee of unhurried existence. There is no need for a fast metabolism when the cell itself is so perfectly protected. Energy is conserved, movement is slow, and time is irrelevant. This is the ultimate structural integrity, allowing the nervous system of the creature and your own mind to operate at the slowest, most economical, and most peaceful pace. You are floating now, embraced by the darkness and the pressure. Feel the immense weight around you, not as a constricting force, but as the powerful, unwavering hand of the planet holding you absolutely still. Let your muscles adopt the gelatinous stillness of the deep, and your mind adopt the chemical peace of perfect adaptation. You are safe in the density. In the deep ocean, the primary form of communication and perception is not light, but sound. However, the way sound behaves here is radically different from the noisy environment of the air-filled world above. Sound travels nearly 5 times faster in water than it does in air, a phenomenal speed of roughly 1,500 meters per second. This high speed might suggest a world of cacophony, but the reality is the opposite. The immense pressure and density of the deep water create an environment of profound acoustic stillness. The speed of sound means that information is transmitted instantly, requiring less effort and less volume to convey a message across vast distances. Furthermore, while sound travels faster, the sheer density of the environment acts as a massive dampener, preventing the chaotic, localized scattering of noise that characterizes the surface. Imagine being able to whisper a message and have it understood clearly across a great distance, without the need to shout. The deep sea is a world of whispers and clicks, purposeful, low-frequency sounds that carry far but do not linger or reverberate chaotically. This is the acoustic silence of the abyss, a silence that results not from the absence of sound waves, but from the absence of unnecessary noise. As you lie still, allow the concept of fast, efficient sound to calm your mind. Up above, human communication is often rushed, fragmented, and loud, a desperate attempt to overcome distance and distraction. Down here, there is no distraction, and the medium itself ensures clarity. The deep teaches us that true connection requires precision, not volume. Paradoxically, while the deep ocean is locally silent, it contains a remarkable acoustic phenomenon known as the SOFAR, sound fixing and ranging channel. This is a layer generally centered around 1,000 meters deep, where the speed of sound reaches its minimum due to a unique balance of temperature and pressure. Sound waves entering this channel cannot easily escape. They are refracted back toward the center of the channel, allowing them to travel vast distances, sometimes thousands of kilometers, with minimal loss of energy. This channel is primarily used by migrating whales, to communicate across entire ocean basins. For our meditative journey, the So-Far Channel serves as a metaphor for isolation and protection. The deep ocean, in its wisdom, has created a layer that holds the most important ancient communications within its confines, preventing them from mixing with the superficial noise above. We are floating below this channel, in an even quieter space, protected from even these massive melodic sounds by the changes in water density. You are shielded, acoustically isolated, resting in a realm where only the most patient, massive, and necessary sounds, the great songs of the planet, can even approach, and even those are held in a separate layer. Everything surrounding your specific location is defined by local, absolute quiet. The immense pressure that creates this acoustic stillness is also responsible for minimizing all forms of turbulence. On the surface, waves, wind, and temperature differences create currents that churn the water into chaotic, unpredictable motions. This turbulence is a constant source of stress for life, the need to constantly swim or correct one's balance. In the deep, the water is so dense and the temperature so uniform that movement is governed only by slow, massive, predictable flows, the global thermohaline circulation, or the deep ocean conveyor belt. These currents move at the pace of geology, measured in kilometers per year, not meters per second. The water itself offers powerful resistance to any abrupt change. A creature here cannot suddenly dart or lunge. This physical resistance enforces a universal, unhurried pace. Imagine the water around you is like thick, cool honey. It holds you securely, and every attempt at rapid movement is met with gentle, firm opposition. Let your body surrender to this resistance. Release the need to rush, the need to quickly change position, or the need to quickly react. The density of the deep forces your metabolism, your breathing, and your thoughts to slow down to a pace that is sustainable and deeply restful. The echo of the abyss is not a single sound. It is the sensation of physical laws conspiring to create ultimate peace. It is the certainty that no violent movement, no sudden noise, and no chaotic wave can reach this deep, stable sanctuary. We are held, safe and silent, in the heart of the planet's physical stillness. We have explored the physics of this immense world, understanding how the bathypelagic zone is defined by pressure. Now, we must complete the reframing of this force. On the surface, pressure is stress. Here, in the abyss, pressure is an absolute shield, a guarantee of peace. The immense, steady weight of the water column, the 400 atmospheres of hydrostatic pressure, is the greatest stabilizer the planet offers. It does not exist to crush, it exists to hold. Imagine the water not as a hostile medium, but as a colossal, perfectly weighted blanket that completely envelops you, eliminating all angles of attack. This pressure ensures that no external chaos can ever reach you. Think of the surface. It is a realm of storms, wind-driven turbulence, and chaotic, localized currents. The pressure we feel here acts as the physical guardrail that prevents these surface forces from penetrating the deep. The force required to create turbulence at this depth is simply too great for surface weather to overcome. We are in a realm that is utterly indifferent to the fury of the waves or the roar of the wind. This is the ultimate physical security. When the medium surrounding you is so dense, so stable, the environment itself becomes the source of protection. Allow the weight of this scientific certainty to settle over your body. You are insulated, cradled, and utterly defended by 4 kilometers of patient water. The meditative power of pressure lies in its uniformity. Hydrostatic pressure is applied equally to every point of an object. This means there are no localized stresses, no sharp, twisting forces, only a continuous, all-encompassing embrace. For the life forms here, this uniformity creates hydrostatic equilibrium. Their internal pressure perfectly matches the external pressure, resulting in a state of absolute, effortless balance. They do not have to expend energy fighting the weight, because they are perfectly integrated with it. This equilibrium is the biological definition of ultimate rest. This is the state we seek for ourselves. When we are stressed, our internal pressure, our worry, our tension, clashes with the external environment, creating friction. But here, the physics of the abyss teaches us to seek internal balance that mirrors the external state. Lie still and feel the immense, uniform pressure holding you. Let your breath become slow and deep, synchronizing your body with this profound, external stillness. You do not need to fight gravity. You do not need to fight pressure. You need only surrender to the certainty of being held in perfect balance. This is the anchoring effect of the deep, a weight that paradoxically leads to the sensation of being utterly weightless in terms of effort. Pressure is also the ultimate enforcer of slow time. Any movement here is met with firm, physical resistance from the dense water. If you were to try and move quickly, the energy cost would be unsustainable. The environment itself prevents rush, haste, and anxiety-driven speed. The deep ocean is therefore a forced retreat into a state of minimal metabolic output. Life here is a masterpiece of waiting, a reflection of geologic time on a biological scale. Creatures do not expend energy, they do not have to, adopting a pace that can be sustained for millennia. This forced slowness is profoundly restorative. It offers a counter-narrative to the surface world's obsession with speed and instant reaction. Here, the law of physics states, the slower you move, the longer you survive, and the more peaceful your existence is. In this realm, pressure has created an impenetrable shield against visual chaos, total, unyielding darkness, climatic stress, uniform, constant cold, acoustic turmoil, density that eliminates surface noise, metabolic haste, resistance that enforces ultimate slowness. We are resting in the heart of the planet's most secure sanctuary. The pressure is your protective cocoon, silencing the outside world and gently forcing your internal world into a state of perfect hydrostatic equilibrium. Let the vast, silent weight of the water column be the final, comforting press that releases all remaining tension. You are safe, you are held, and you are still. The slow rain, the energy of the void. As we reside in the deep bathypelagic zone, we are resting beneath an invisible yet absolute ceiling. This ceiling is the thermocline, the crucial layer in the water column where the temperature drops rapidly and stabilizes. Above it, the water is warm, mixed, and constantly turbulent. Below it, the water is cold, dense, and utterly still. The thermocline is the physical barrier that separates the two oceans. the chaotic, sunlit ocean of the surface and the dark, tranquil ocean of the abyss. Imagine this boundary as a vast, smooth glass surface, a point where the densities of the water are so different that they refuse to mix. The warm, lighter water stays buoyant above, constantly agitated by the wind and sun. The cold, heavier water remains locked below, unmoved by surface weather. This separation is the planet's way of guaranteeing the absolute stillness we are seeking. This ceiling is your meditative shield. It prevents the noise, the temperature fluctuations, and the metabolic chaos of the upper layers from ever reaching your sanctuary. The cold, dense water of the abyss is locked in its own state of thermal equilibrium, providing a constant, stable environment that demands zero energy for adjustment. You are floating in a realm where physics itself eliminates the possibility of surprise or sudden change. Allow your mind to relax into the certainty of this boundary. Whatever distractions, whatever surface chaos may be trying to penetrate your rest, know that the dense, stable weight of the deep water acts as an unyielding separation. You are below the barrier, in the cool, unhurried water of profound rest. The energy dynamics of the surface ocean are simple. Light fuels phytoplankton, which feeds zooplankton, and so on. But down here, in the zone of eternal dark, there is no light, and therefore no photosynthesis. The only available energy must be imported. This imported energy comes in the form of the slow rain. This slow rain is a continuous, gentle shower of organic material drifting down from the productive surface layers. Scientists call it marine snow. It is composed of dead phytoplankton, the remains of small animals, fecal pellets, and dust, all sinking together in tiny, silent fragments. Visualize this falling material not as filth, but as fine, shimmering flakes gently swirling down through the black water. It is a slow, endless, quiet snowfall that provides the only sustenance for the vast majority of deep-sea life. Because the water is so perfectly still and dense, this marine snow drifts downward at an incredibly slow, measured pace, sometimes taking weeks or even months to reach the deepest zones. This slow, constant trickle of energy defines the pace of life here. Creatures in the abyss do not hunt or chase. They wait patiently for the slow rain to arrive. Their existence is a profound exercise in patience and metabolic efficiency. They open their mouths, deploy their filtering nets, and wait for the feast to come to them. Let the image of the marine snow become a metaphor for your own mental clarity. As the unwanted, chaotic thoughts from the surface world gently fall away, they do not dissolve instantly. Instead, they become small, manageable fragments that simply drift past you into the deeper, quieter currents. You do not need to fight these thoughts. You only need to observe them as they pass by, settling into the vast, indifferent silence. The sheer scarcity and slow arrival of marine snow mean that every deep-sea creature is a master of conservation. Their metabolism is radically reduced. Their movement is minimal. Their entire life strategy is built around waiting. This waiting is not anxiety-ridden. It is not impatience. It is the deep, patient understanding that the energy will eventually arrive, dictated by the unwavering laws of gravity and decay. The abundance of the surface world, the frenetic energy, the excess, the waste, is non-existent here. Every speck of food is precious, and every action is carefully considered. Imagine adopting the patience of a deep-sea filter feeder. You are suspended in perfect balance, perfectly still, knowing that the sustenance you require will find you without effort or haste on your part. There is immense peace in this surrender to the natural, slow rhythm of the environment. The slow rain is the heartbeat of the deep, a steady, gentle reminder that even in the ultimate darkness, life persists, sustained by the gentle descent of organic time. Let your breathing now match the rate of the marine snow, slow, steady, and utterly unhurried. You are being fed by the slow, predictable rhythms of the abyss, resting safely beneath the ceiling of chaos. We are immersed in the midnight zone, a realm of total darkness and constant cold. But even here, where photosynthesis is impossible, life persists. It persists because of the invisible feast, a concept that is both beautiful and humbling. Marine snow. Marine snow is the steady, gentle shower of organic detritus that drifts down from the sunlit surface layers. Imagine the entire ecosystem above, the vibrant plankton blooms, the busy fish, the vast forests of seaweed, dying, decaying, and gently fracturing into tiny, nutrient-rich flakes. These fragments are held in the dense, silent water, and they begin their incredibly slow, solitary fall toward the abyss. This material is a complex mixture: dead phytoplankton, discarded shells of microscopic creatures, fecal pellets, and dust from distant continents. It is the vast, silent waste product of the sunlit world. Yet down here, it is the sole source of metabolic fuel. It is the ultimate expression of the planet's recycling system, demonstrating that no energy is ever truly lost. It is only transferred, slowed, and profoundly transformed. Visualize this falling material not as dust, but as billions of tiny, shimmering flakes catching the faint, random sparks of bioluminescence produced by the deep-sea fauna. It is a slow, silent, endless snowfall within the water column. Because the water is so dense and perfectly still, these particles often aggregate, clinging together to form larger, more substantial pieces, which drift downwards with even greater effect. The key meditative quality of marine snow is its pace. It does not arrive in a sudden torrent. It is a gentle, continuous trickle. A particle that begins its descent at the surface may take weeks or even months to reach the bottom of the abyssal plain. This immense transit time dictates the entire rhythm of life in the deep. Creatures here cannot rely on finding food quickly or in massive, predictable bursts. Their existence is a permanent state of patient waiting. They are designed to maximize the capture of this sparse, slowly arriving sustenance. Many are filter feeders, suspending themselves perfectly in the current with massive, delicate nets or sticky filaments, letting the food come to them. Others are simply ambush predators, lying motionless on the seafloor, ready to consume anything that lands nearby. This pace teaches us the profound value of stillness. When the food comes to you over weeks, you learn to conserve energy and eliminate all unnecessary activity. There is no running, no chasing, and no anxiety over scarcity, because the very slowness of the process ensures that resources are always managed with the utmost care. Allow your mind to adopt this rhythm now. Release the anxiety of having to constantly pursue external resources. Instead, imagine yourself perfectly suspended, knowing that what you need will drift gently toward you on the currents of time. Patience becomes your most powerful tool. Marine snow plays an absolutely vital role in global ecology, acting as the planet's great carbon pump. When these organic particles fall, they carry carbon, originally captured by phytoplankton at the surface, out of the atmosphere and down into the deep ocean sediments. This transfer is one of the primary mechanisms by which the Earth regulates its long-term climate. From a meditative perspective, this process reinforces the theme of global security. The environment we are in is not merely peaceful for us. It is actively performing a vital, ancient planetary service. The deep ocean is this planet's great storehouse, its immense, cold archive, where the past energy of the sun is quietly and stably sequestered. When you breathe deeply, feel the stillness of this archive around you. The water is performing its silent, necessary work, ensuring the stability of the entire system. You are part of this stable system, resting in the quiet heart of the planet's natural order. The invisible feast is a constant, gentle reminder that even in the most resource-scarce environments, there is a deep, sustaining cycle at work. You are protected by the physical laws that enforce the darkness, and you are sustained by the slow, continuous movement of life itself. Surrender to the pace of the slow rain, and find the quiet security that comes from knowing you don't have to chase the light. You only need to wait for the nourishment to fall. In the deep, dark quiet where we are suspended, there exists a massive, hidden pulse, a movement so vast that it involves more living mass than all the human beings on Earth combined. It is the great Diel vertical migration. Diel means daily, and migration here refers to the largest synchronized movement of life on the entire planet. Imagine the absolute stillness of the midnight zone being briefly, gently disturbed. As the sun sets on the world above, billions upon billions of small creatures, crustaceans, lanternfish, small squid, and zooplankton begin to ascend. They are traveling hundreds or even thousands of meters from the safety of the deep, dark abyss to the food-rich but dangerous waters of the surface. Their purpose is simple: to feed on the bounty of the phytoplankton that photosynthesize during the day. They must risk the sunlit waters to gather energy, but they do so only under the cloak of night. As dawn approaches, this enormous collective of life turns simultaneously and begins the long, arduous journey back down to the safety of the total darkness, settling just above us or even deeper. This movement teaches us about the profound trade-off between risk and sustenance. These creatures spend the daylight hours in metabolic arrest in the cold, stable, dark sanctuary, paying the cost of safety with minimal feeding. They then pay the cost of feeding with the risk of exposure to surface predators in the dark. Their life is an ancient, perfected negotiation between hunger and security. This daily ascent and descent is one of the most powerful biological rhythms on Earth, perfectly synchronized with the cycle of light and dark. It is a massive biological metronome that operates without fail, day after day, across every ocean basin. As you lie here, feel this rhythm. It is not the frantic rhythm of human clocks, but the slow, patient oscillation of the planet itself. Visualize the millions of tiny forms around you, slowly rising and slowly falling. This movement is not chaotic. It is ordered, deliberate, and entirely predictable. It is a profound, collective act of survival, a testament to the power of synchronization. Let this ancient, planetary rhythm influence your own breathing. Allow your breath to become a slow, deep, vertical migration. Inhale, a gentle ascent toward clarity and energy. Exhale, a long, slow descent back into the deep, dark, peaceful safety of the abyss. This is the natural, unhurried rhythm of rest and activity, dictated not by urgency, but by the necessity of the cosmos. The vertical migration also offers a powerful metaphor for safety. When these creatures ascend, they do so not as isolated individuals, but as a vast, dense, coordinated cloud. This collective action provides a measure of security. A single entity is vulnerable, but billions moving together create a powerful, shifting target that confuses and overwhelms predators. They find safety in the density of the dark. The light is their primary predator, so they use the darkness itself as their collective shield. They move not when the sun commands, but when the absence of the sun guarantees their security. Imagine yourself participating in this collective journey. You are not alone. You are part of a massive, ancient, silent movement toward peace. You move with the certainty of the crowd, knowing that the greatest safety is found in the deep, shared darkness. Now, as the deep waters absorb the last echoes of this rhythmic movement, feel yourself settling completely. The migrant creatures have descended, finding their own resting place in the still, cold water. They have paid their debt to the sun and are now returning to the ultimate protective quiet. You are secure beneath the weight of the water column, insulated from the risks of the surface. Allow the great vertical migration to represent the safe, measured movement between your waking life and your resting life. The work is done. The time for descent and rest is absolute. As we move deeper into the abyss, past the regions of light and turbulent flow, we encounter a fundamental biological truth. Life here is lived in the absence of fire. The fire is a metaphor for rapid combustion, for the high-energy, fast-paced metabolism that defines life on the surface, where oxygen is abundant and food is found by frantic chasing. Down here, in the cold, dense quiet, life is sustained by an entirely different, slower principle. This principle is metabolic slowdown. The creatures of the Bathypelagic zone are not stressed by their environment. They are optimized for it. Their existence is a profound exercise in conservation. Why burn energy quickly when food arrives slowly, when movement is costly, and when the environment is constantly cold? The efficient deep-sea organism recognizes that the best way to survive scarcity is to minimize need. Imagine the profound peace that comes from this biological resignation to slowness. Your heart rate, your breathing, your entire cellular clock operates at a tiny fraction of the surface rate. This reduction in metabolic activity is the deep ocean's most ancient lullaby. It is the natural internal switch that signals the time for frantic exertion is over. The time for deep rest has arrived. Allow your own energy to sink now. Release the psychological need to be fast, to be reactive. Let your internal furnace be banked. glowing softly with just the minimal energy required for maintenance. This metabolic state is not a deficiency. It is a mastery of sustainability. The wisdom of waiting, the biological pace of the deep abyss offers a powerful lesson in waiting. Many deep-sea fish are thought to live for exceptionally long periods, some species possibly reaching lifespans that dwarf their shallow water counterparts. This longevity is a direct consequence of their ultra-low metabolism. When every calorie is carefully utilized and every moment is spent conserving energy, the process of aging itself appears to slow down. Their lives are an elegant, patient performance of stasis. They wait for the slow rain of marine snow. They wait for the infrequent, singular bioluminescent signal of potential prey. They wait in perfect hydrostatic equilibrium for years, sometimes decades, for a mate to appear. This relentless patience is the essence of deep-sea peace. The concept of impatience is fundamentally an energy-wasting mechanism, a frantic desire to move faster than the environment allows. In the deep, impatience is an evolutionary weakness that would lead to rapid starvation. Therefore, the successful deep-sea creature has eliminated impatience from its existence. Embrace this wisdom now. Let go of any anxiety about waiting for a result, waiting for a solution, or waiting for morning. You are adopting the timeless patience of the deep. Time is not rushing past you. You are simply moving with it, slowly and deliberately. You are safe in the unhurried current of geologic time. The density of conservation. This metabolic slowdown is supported by the physical density of the water. As we learned, the dense, cold water acts as a resistance against movement, but it also acts as a profound energy sink. Any heat generated by the organism is instantly cooled and absorbed by the surrounding water, forcing the creature to maintain its incredibly low metabolic rate simply to survive the cold. This physical environment enforces total thermal honesty. There is no room for wasteful energy. Everything must be dedicated to core survival. This extreme efficiency is what allows life to flourish even in such resource-poor conditions. Feel the cool, steady certainty of the abyss surrounding you. It is enforcing your rest, demanding that you conserve your energy, and pushing you toward a state of profound stillness. This state of low metabolic need is precisely the state your mind and body seek for true, regenerative sleep. You have now mastered the stillness of the deep. You understand the physics of pressure as a shield, the biology of stillness as adaptation, and the pace of life as dictated by the slow, continuous rain of energy from above. You have left the fire behind and entered the cool, stable realm of conservation. Fires of the deep. Life without the sun. We have explored the vast bathypelagic zone, sustained by the passive, gentle drizzle of marine snow. That energy chain, however, is merely a reflection of the sunlit world above. Now, we are traveling toward a place where life has achieved absolute energetic independence, a sanctuary powered entirely from within the earth itself. Our destination is the ultimate contradiction of the deep, a place of volcanic heat and vibrant, dense life found thousands of meters below the sun's reach. This energy source is not light, but chemistry. This is the principle of chemosynthesis. Imagine a world where energy is derived not from fire, sunlight, but from stone. Chemosynthesis is a process where specialized microorganisms, the fundamental builders of this deep ecosystem, extract energy by oxidizing inorganic chemical compounds, primarily hydrogen sulfide, which spews from the Earth's crust. They take the raw, elemental energy locked in the planet's internal heat and transform it into the building blocks of life. This is a profound, almost spiritual shift in our understanding of life's resilience. It means that even if the sun were to be extinguished entirely, these communities would continue to thrive, powered by the core heat of the Earth. You are descending into a realm that proves life is its own master, capable of sustaining itself without relying on any external, fleeting power source. The realization of chemosynthesis offers immense meditative power. The anxiety of the surface world is often fueled by the search for external validation and external resources, the equivalent of chasing the sun's light. The deep ocean, in these chemosynthetic zones, teaches us the power of self-sustainment. Visualize the transformation. The toxic hydrogen sulfide, which is poison to surface life, is here transformed by microorganisms into stable sugars, the basic fuel of life. This process is silent, continuous, and happens entirely outside the chaotic influence of the surface environment. Allow this concept to soothe your own internal search for energy. Release the feeling that you must constantly seek external inputs to feel sustained. The truth of the deep is that true, deep-seated power comes from internal chemistry, from the efficient, unhurried processing of the elements within your environment. Your inner resources, your stillness, your breath, your ability to remain calm, are the chemical compounds that you must rely on. This independence from the sun also guarantees absolute consistency. Volcanic heat and the Earth's slow geothermal processes are far more stable and long-lasting than any surface weather cycle. The energy flow here is essentially infinite and unwavering, providing the ultimate foundation for rest. These chemosynthetic microorganisms are the primary producers of the deep-sea ecosystems. They form the base of an entirely self-contained food chain. Giant tube worms, mussels, clams, and specialized shrimp do not eat falling marine snow. They either consume these bacteria directly or form symbiotic relationships with them, relying entirely on the internal heat of the Earth for their nourishment. This localized, dense community is an oasis in the dark, silent desert of the abyssal plain. They exist in high numbers, clustered tightly around the heat source, creating a pocket of hyper-abundance in an otherwise resource-scarce world. This concentration of life reinforces the idea that peace and sustenance can be found in small, self-contained, and specialized communities. We are now floating on the edge of this warmth, insulated from the heat, but sensing its profound presence, a steady, internal engine that never sleeps. You are witnessing the Earth's quiet, powerful internal rhythm, creating life where logic dictates life should not exist. Rest now in the profound certainty of this secret energy source. You are moving toward the eternal heat of the planet's core, a source of stability and life that requires no external sun, no external validation, and no frantic chase. Your energy is your own. Your peace is sustained from within. We are floating above a section of the seafloor that defies everything we have learned about the cold, quiet abyss. Here, the Earth's crust is thin, often near a mid-ocean ridge, allowing the planet's immense internal heat to escape. This is the domain of hydrothermal vents, the architectural marvels built by chemistry and heat. Visualize the seafloor around you. It is the familiar black, muddy, flat expanse of the abyssal plain. But rising from this quiet, endless floor are dark, towering structures like the chimneys of an ancient submerged city. These are the black smokers, mineral deposits built up over centuries as superheated, chemically charged water bursts from the crust. The water erupting from these vents is staggeringly hot, reaching temperatures over 400 C. It is prevented from boiling by the crushing, immense pressure of the water column above us. This superheated fluid is rich in dissolved minerals, iron, copper, zinc, and crucially, hydrogen sulfide. As this toxic hot water meets the cold, 2C ocean water, the minerals instantly precipitate, forming a dense black plume that looks exactly like smoke. These vents are the architects of the deep, silent builders that use geothermal energy to create immense, stable structures out of raw chemicals. They are proof that the Earth itself is an active, sustaining power source, completely decoupled from the sun. The vents represent a powerful contradiction. They are zones of extreme, turbulent heat, yet they exist within a vast, cold, still environment. For our rest, the key is the localization of this chaos. The heat, the turbulence, and the chemical activity are strictly contained within a few meters of the vent opening. Just a short distance away, the water temperature returns instantly to the frigid, uniform cold of the abyss. This teaches us the meditative lesson of containing energy. The deep ocean recognizes that intense energy, like the heat from the Earth's core, is necessary for life, but it must be strictly managed and contained to prevent chaos. The vast, cold stillness acts as the infinite thermal buffer, preventing the fire from spreading. Imagine a powerful, focused candle flame burning brightly in an enormous, perfectly still cathedral. The heat is intense, but its influence is minimal. The space remains cold and quiet. This focused energy is what defines the life around the vents. Intense, rapid, and highly concentrated, but utterly surrounded and contained by the quiet, cold immensity of the deep. The life that settles around these vents forms dense, flourishing communities, true oases in the dark. This life is entirely based on the chemosynthetic bacteria we discussed, which thrive in the thermal and chemical gradients near the vent opening. The most famous inhabitants are the giant tube worms. These striking creatures can grow to lengths of over 2 meters. They have no mouth, no gut, and no anus. Instead, they house colonies of chemosynthetic bacteria inside their bodies, which provide all their nourishment. The worms' deep red plumes, visible because they contain hemoglobin designed to capture hydrogen sulfide, act as giant chemical respirators, farming the bacteria within. These organisms embody the ultimate symbiotic relationship with the planet. They are not merely feeding off the Earth, they are intimately connected to its geological processes. Their very existence is a direct, peaceful partnership with the planet's internal heat and chemistry. Rest now, knowing you are floating above the Earth's hidden engine, a place of profound, sustained, and ancient stability. The vents are the chimneys of the planet, quietly processing the Earth's energy and building massive, resilient structures of life where no light can reach. The stability of stone and the certainty of the Earth's core are your anchors in this profound darkness. We are now floating above a chemosynthetic oasis, a true island of life in the immense, silent desert of the abyssal plain. These hydrothermal vents support communities that are denser and more vibrant than almost any other deep-sea environment. The sheer concentration of life here is a powerful counterpoint to the scarcity and slow pace of the surrounding darkness. Imagine the vast black sea floor stretching out endlessly, a quiet realm, sustained by the trickle of marine snow. Suddenly, clustered around the steaming, mineral-rich vents, life explodes. Giant, crimson-tipped tube worms form dense thickets, sometimes reaching heights of 2 meters. White, foot-long clams and massive mussels carpet the rocks. Blind white shrimp swarm the vent openings, harvesting the bacteria directly from the hot fluid. This is a world that has mastered localized abundance. The energy is not spread thinly across a wide area. It is focused, concentrated, and constantly renewed by the Earth's internal engine. This concentration of resources is the key to their survival and the core of their peace. They do not have to wander the vast distances of the abyss to find sustenance. They only need to remain still within the thermal and chemical sweet spot of the vent. For you, the listener, this community demonstrates the power of finding and remaining in your personal oasis of energy. Release the need to search far and wide for peace or sustenance. Focus on the internal, constant source of calm, your breath, your heartbeat, your stillness, and allow life to cluster around that stability. The most extraordinary feature of these communities is their reliance on symbiosis, the peaceful, mutually beneficial partnership between organisms. As we observed with the tube worms, the large, complex animals do not eat the vent water. They host the chemosynthetic bacteria inside their bodies. The tube worm provides the bacteria with the raw materials. It pumps hydrogen sulfide and oxygen, gathered from the vent environment, directly into its tissues. In return, the bacteria work tirelessly to convert these toxic chemicals into organic food, sustaining the worm completely. It is a perfect, sealed, and self-sufficient system. This symbiosis is a profound lesson in interconnectedness and cooperation. In the harsh environment of the deep, life does not survive through individual aggression, but through deep, integrated partnership. The creature sacrifices independence to gain absolute security and guaranteed sustenance. Allow this concept of partnership to relax any sense of internal isolation. You are not an individual battling the world. You are a complex, symbiotic organism, reliant on the quiet, stable partnership between your mind and your body. Let these two forces work together in a state of harmonious efficiency, ensuring your complete and effortless rest. These vent communities are incredibly resilient, but they are not eternal. A hydrothermal vent is tied to geological activity, and the flow of hot, chemical-rich water may only last for decades before the fissure closes. When the vent dies, the rich ecosystem that depended on it dies too, returning the area to the quiet, marine, snow-dependent solitude of the abyssal plain. However, the speed of colonization is astounding. When a new vent opens, creatures from the deep, who can sense the chemical changes, flock to the new heat source. These communities demonstrate a fierce, tenacious will to survive. moving across the great distances of the abyss to find the next reliable geothermal engine. This cycle, the formation, flourishing, and eventual cooling, provides a meditative insight into the natural ebb and flow of energy. Even the most stable, self-sufficient communities must eventually surrender to the larger, slower rhythms of the planet. But they teach us that while specific conditions may change, life's ability to find and create new sources of energy remains constant. Rest now, floating above this powerful, resilient community. You are surrounded by life that has mastered scarcity, embraced stillness, and found its eternal fire in the heart of the earth. You are protected by the deep sea's ability to create abundance from chemical stillness. We turn our attention away from the localized fire of the hydrothermal vents and return to the vast, cold, mid-water column of the abyss. This is the pelagic deep, a world with no floor, no walls, and no light, only infinite, quiet volume. Here, the occupants are the silent wanderers, creatures that have mastered the art of perfect solitude and suspension. These deep-sea nomads are unattached to any structure. They neither sink to the floor nor rise to the surface. They simply drift, held in perfect hydrostatic equilibrium by the density of the water. Their anatomy reflects this existence. They are often translucent, gelatinous, and weightless, requiring minimal muscle and minimal energy to exist. They are the ultimate expression of passive survival. Imagine yourself now, adopting this form. Release any tension that anchors you to the idea of a fixed point. You are a free-floating entity, a being of pure, unhurried suspension. There is no need for forward propulsion, no need to struggle against a current, because your life's purpose is simply to be perfectly suspended, to exist with the minimum possible effort. This profound solitude is not lonely, it is peaceful. In the vast, infinite volume of the mid-water abyss, there are no territorial disputes, no frantic races for resources, and no external demands. These silent wanderers are surrounded by kilometers of protective, dense water in every direction. They are the definition of self-contained peace. The survival of the silent wanderers depends entirely on their mastery of neutral buoyancy. To avoid sinking into the crushing Hadal zone or rising into the dangerous twilight zone, they must precisely match the density of the surrounding water. They achieve this not by using air-filled sacs, which would be instantly compressed, but through chemical means. Many of these organisms have bodies with a high water content and low concentrations of heavy structural materials like bone and dense protein. Some use special compounds such as ammonium chloride, which is less dense than seawater, to create internal lift. This process is silent, continuous, and requires very little metabolic cost. This perfect, effortless suspension is the ultimate meditative state. It is the physical manifestation of letting go. You do not need to actively hold yourself up. The environment itself is holding you. You are neither rising in anxiety nor sinking in exhaustion. You are simply held in a state of perfect, neutral balance. Allow your body to feel this release now. Let the dense, invisible water support your entire weight. You are floating, held between the infinite ceiling and the distant floor, perfectly balanced in the silent volume. Even the predators among the silent wanderers are masters of stillness. The midwater deep is too vast and the energy too scarce for chasing. Instead, predators are ambush hunters, relying on immense patience and a few highly specialized tools. Consider the viperfish or the anglerfish. They have huge mouths, sharp fangs, and hinged jaws that allow them to swallow prey larger than themselves, but their hunting strategy is almost entirely passive. They hang motionless, waiting in the absolute blackness. Their huge eyes are adapted to spot the faintest flicker of bioluminescence, and their large jaws are a guarantee that when a rare feeding opportunity arises, it will not be missed. Their life is a profound cycle of endless waiting, punctuated by instant, efficient action. This teaches us the meditative value of conservation of energy. You can achieve far more by being perfectly still and ready than by being constantly active and exhausted. The deep rewards patience and readiness, not haste and struggle. We are surrounded by these silent, suspended figures, the true nomads of the abyss. They move only when necessary. They speak only when necessary, and they wait with infinite patience. They are the ultimate expression of life, optimized for the cold, dark stability we are resting in. You are one of the silent wanderers now, suspended in the quiet, peaceful volume of the Earth's inner ocean. We have passed through the Bathypelagic zone, the midnight zone, and are now gliding over the abyssal plain, the vast, flat, sediment-covered floor of the deep ocean. This plain, extending from 4,000 meters down to 6,000 meters, covers more than half of the Earth's surface. It is the greatest geographical feature on our planet, and it is defined by its monumental quiet. The abyssal plain is the world's final receiving point for the slow rain of marine snow. All the organic material that has taken weeks or months to fall from the surface finally settles here, forming layers of fine, nutrient-rich mud called ooze. The life here is sparse, spread thinly across the enormous expanse, characterized by creatures that live on or near the sediment, patiently waiting for the slow, continuous arrival of food. This environment is the ultimate meditative landscape. It is flat, stable, dark, and still. The pressure here is crushing, up to 600 times the surface pressure, but it guarantees an unparalleled physical permanence. Nothing moves quickly. Nothing changes suddenly. The history of this plain is measured in the silent accumulation of sediment, grain by grain, over millions of years. Feel the profound stability of this depth. You are resting on the quietest floor of the world, where the rhythms of human life, the hurried rush, the frantic chase, are meaningless. Here, patience is absolute, and stillness is the default state of existence. Our final destination lies beyond the abyssal plain, in the deepest regions of the ocean, the Hadal zone. This zone is not a continuous layer, but refers specifically to the deepest ocean trenches and canyons found from 6,000 meters down to nearly 11,000 meters. The name comes from Hades, the ancient Greek underworld, a fitting name for the darkest and most pressurized place on Earth. The trenches are tectonic scars, places where one crustal plate is slowly being forced beneath another. They are narrow, steep-sided valleys that plunge down to depths no sunlight can ever hope to reach. The most famous, the Mariana Trench, plunges down to 10,935 meters, deeper than Mount Everest is tall. In the Hadal zone, the pressure reaches its maximum, over 1,000 atmospheres, or more than 8 tons per square inch. This is the final, absolute weight of the world pressing down. Yet paradoxically, the Hadal zone is arguably the most peaceful place on Earth. Why? Because this immense pressure guarantees ultimate thermal and acoustic stability. The temperature is constant, near freezing. The water is often slightly clearer than the abyssal water above, and the sediment is often comprised of terrestrial dust and clay, not the marine snow that sustains life above. This is the sanctuary of last resort. No human noise can penetrate here. No surface weather event can ever disturb the sediment. This is the place where the very forces of the Earth's crust move at geological pace, ensuring a level of stillness that transcends all biological and atmospheric change. The trenches are highly isolated ecosystems. Because they are often far narrower than they are deep, the exchange of water and marine life between the trench floor and the open abyss above is limited. This isolation means the life forms here have evolved in total separation, relying almost entirely on the sparse sediment that manages to settle on the steep slopes. The life that exists in the Hadal zone is highly resilient, but the key is that it is unhurried. Like their shallow water cousins, they are masters of slow metabolism and patient waiting. They are the ultimate survivors, thriving under conditions that would instantly annihilate surface life. Rest now, knowing you have reached the maximum depth of human exploration and the ultimate maximum of the planet's stillness. The weight of 11 kilometers of water is above you, an impenetrable shield of density and cold. You are held by the profound, unyielding certainty of the Earth's deepest physical laws. Surrender to the finality of this descent. Let the pressure eliminate all internal chaos. You are in the quietest place on the planet, resting in the eternal dark of the Hadal zone, where peace is enforced by the immense, ancient weight of the world. The final sanctuary, the Hadal zone. We are at the deepest point on the planet, suspended in the Hadal zone, beneath the immense weight of up to 11 kilometers of water. At this depth, the stress is absolute, yet the result is profound, unshakable calm. This is the Hadal paradox. The most hostile environment on Earth is simultaneously the most stable. In our everyday lives, we associate extreme pressure with chaos, breakdown, and failure. Down here, pressure is the opposite. It is the ultimate enforcer of order. The force of 1,000 atmospheres eliminates every variable that creates stress in the upper world. Think of the pressure not as a weight on you, but as a force that is holding the water itself perfectly still. This density prevents the water from mixing or stirring. There is no turbulence, no localized current, and no unpredictable motion. The Hadal zone is hydrodynamically inert. The pressure creates a medium so dense and uniform that it is incapable of chaotic action. Allow yourself to fully surrender to this pressure. It is the final, definitive assurance that nothing external can penetrate or disturb your rest. The pressure is your complete 360-degree shield, eliminating all internal tension by surrounding you with an undeniable, unmoving external certainty. The immense pressure also ensures that the temperature remains an unwavering constant. Here, the water is permanently cold, hovering just above freezing, around 1°C to 2°C. This thermal stability is absolute. There are no seasons, no weather patterns, and no currents to bring warmer or colder water. For the Hadal fauna, this consistency translates into a biological reality of minimal metabolic need. They do not need to burn precious energy adapting to fluctuating conditions. Their existence is a masterpiece of energy conservation, a life lived at the slowest possible pace, where every calorie is used for maintenance and survival, not for reaction or haste. Imagine the profound peace of a body that never needs to adjust its internal temperature to match a changing environment. This is the physiological state of the Hadal zone. It is the ultimate release from the energy cost of adaptability. Let your own metabolism slow, recognizing that you are now in a place where absolute cold equals absolute peace. The Hadal zone lies directly on the Earth's crustal plates, the very boundary where continents are formed and destroyed. Change here happens, but it happens at a geological pace over millions of years. Even seismic events that may shake the Earth's crust are often buffered by the immense, dense layer of water above. The sediment on the trench floor is a record of this patience. It is often composed of fine clay and particles that have drifted down from the deepest parts of the abyss, a history book written in slow motion. The life forms that live here, like the deep-sea amphipods, small scavengers, move with a corresponding slowness, perfectly attuned to the geologic rhythm of their environment. This depth removes all sense of urgency. The time scale of the Hadal zone makes the frantic pace of the surface world seem trivial and irrelevant. When you realize that the most active movement in your environment is the slow, silent shift of tectonic plates, your own internal rush must dissipate. Rest now, knowing that you have found the planet's deepest reservoir of stability. The Hadal paradox is resolved in your stillness. The pressure that could annihilate chaos has instead guaranteed peace. You are cradled in the immense, unwavering weight of the world, in a sanctuary where change is measured in eons, and stillness is the ultimate state of survival. We are now resting on the sediment of the Hadal zone, the deepest possible place on Earth. At this extreme pressure, a force that would instantly flatten steel and turn surface life into pulp, we observe life not merely surviving, but thriving. The most prominent inhabitants here are the Hadal amphipods, Bokoplava, and isopods, Ravnonogia rakoobrazny, small, resilient scavengers that dominate the trench floors. These tiny creatures, often resembling oversized shrimp or woodlice, offer a profound lesson in resilience and adaptability. They are the embodiment of deep-sea peace, teaching us that true strength is found not in fighting external forces, but in achieving perfect internal harmony with them. Imagine their anatomy. Like other deep-sea fauna, they lack gas-filled internal spaces, but their resilience goes further. To prevent their proteins from collapsing under the immense pressure, they rely on high concentrations of specialized molecules, such as TMAO, trimethylamine N-oxide. This chemical compound acts as a powerful protector, maintaining the structure and function of their essential biological machinery under 1,000 atmospheres of force. This is the most powerful lesson of the abyss. True protection is chemical and internal. It is not about building thicker walls or swimming faster. It is about cultivating an internal environment, a mindset, a chemistry that is perfectly suited to neutralize the external pressures you face. Allow your own internal chemistry to mimic this protection. Visualize your breath saturating your body with a chemical calmness, creating a molecular shield that stabilizes your heart, relaxes your muscles, and prevents your thoughts from fragmenting under external stress. The amphipod's lesson is that pressure requires adaptation, not fear. The Hadal zone is the ultimate environment of scarcity. The food supply is extremely limited, consisting mostly of organic material that has survived the long fall from the surface or the occasional remains of a large animal, a whale, a shark, or a large fish that drifts down to the trench floor. The amphipods are the ultimate scavengers. They are adapted for a life of profound patience, surviving long periods of fasting and rapidly mobilizing when a large food fall occurs. Their life cycle is slow, their metabolism minimal, and their movements are calculated. They do not hunt, they wait. This waiting is the deep-sea cure for the human rush. We are taught to be active, to chase, to produce immediate results. The amphipods teach the value of absolute stillness and readiness. They know that the energy required to search the vast, quiet plain is not worth the cost. Instead, they conserve energy, relying on their keen senses to detect the rare, massive, life-changing opportunity. Embrace this slow, patient existence. Release the anxiety of having to constantly generate results. Your energy is precious. Conserve it now, knowing that the important sustenance, the deep restorative rest you need, will come to you when you are ready to receive it. The Hadal Plain is a world where waiting is the most powerful and efficient form of survival. Life in the Hadal zone thrives on isolation. Because the trenches are geographically separated from one another, the communities are distinct. They are self-contained islands of survival, relying almost exclusively on the vertical rain of nutrients, cut off from the horizontal chaos of the open ocean. This isolation contributes significantly to their stability. There is no mixing of competitive species from outside, no sudden invasions, and no rapid changes in water chemistry from distant sources. The environment is predictable, closed, and utterly reliable. For our rest, this isolation is key. Visualize yourself completely contained within this deep, quiet trench. You are protected from the demands of external comparison, the noise of external expectations, and the chaos of external influence. The Hadal zone is your personal, closed system of peace, a sanctuary where uniformity guarantees tranquility. Rest now, embodying the resilience of the Hadal amphipod. You are small, but you are mighty. Your internal chemistry is perfect for this pressure. You are patient, and you are utterly secure in the deepest, most stable place on the planet. We have reached the end of our descent. We are settled on the floor of the Hadal zone, the deepest, most quiet, and most stable sanctuary on Earth. Above us are 11 kilometers of water, an immense, silent, protective blanket that separates us entirely from the surface world. Here, at the terminus of all movement, light, and sound, we encounter the final silence. It is not merely the absence of noise, it is the physical cessation of all energetic, turbulent activity. The hydrostatic pressure has enforced a stillness so profound that it transcends human understanding of rest. Allow the vastness of this quiet to envelop you completely. All the stresses, all the worries, all the hurried commands of the surface world are utterly meaningless here. The silence you feel is the silence of absolute distance and absolute stability. You are so far removed from the sources of chaos that they cease to exist in your reality. This final silence is your ultimate release. Let the tension in your mind, the constant low-level hum of anxiety that expects the next interruption, the next demand, or the next required reaction, dissolve entirely. There is nothing to react to here. There is nothing to hear, nothing to see, and nothing to suddenly adjust for. You are safe in the unmoving, unchanging depths. One of the greatest gifts of the Hadal zone is the near-total cessation of current. The water in the trenches is trapped, circulating slowly over immense timescales, creating a profound level of local calm. Up above, life is a constant, subtle struggle against the current, a continuous expenditure of energy just to hold position. Here, that struggle is over. The water is so dense and motionless that the slightest movement is deliberate, but there is no external force compelling you to move. You are held in a space of perfect, three-dimensional suspension and rest. Imagine releasing the internal struggle against the currents of your own life, the compulsion to move, to achieve, to be busy. The deep ocean teaches us that the most regenerative state is the one where struggle is eliminated. You do not need to fight the flow. You are simply resting in the stability. Feel the profound sensation of being utterly unburdened by velocity. You are moving at the pace of geology, a pace that is so slow it is indistinguishable from absolute rest. This is the deepest, most sustainable pace for your mind and body. The Hadal zone connects us directly to the foundational stability of the planet. We are resting on the Earth's crust, anchored by the immense, slow-moving tectonic plates. The energy here is the ancient, unwavering energy of the planet's core, the geothermal fire that drives the slow creation and destruction of land masses. This connection provides a profound sense of anchoring. You are not floating aimlessly. You are securely tethered to the most stable, most enduring structure available. All the forces that could disrupt this stability, surface weather, human intervention, solar fluctuations, are filtered out by the colossal weight of the water column. As you enter the final moments of this deep immersion, visualize the stillness of the trench floor, the resilience of the amphipods, the uniformity of the pressure, and the absolute distance from the light have all converged to create this state of perfect, inviolable peace. You have traveled to the deepest sanctuary. You have surrendered to the darkness, embraced the weight, and understood the slowness of time. You are now resting in the final silence, the ultimate, unhurried, and unchanging state of existence. Let the final, immense weight of the water column press out any last tension, leaving you utterly still, utterly safe, and utterly at peace. Return to the quiet. The long descent is complete. We now begin the slow, gentle journey upward, carrying the stillness of the abyss back with us. We leave behind the Hadal zone, the trenches, and the profound weight of the deep, but we do not leave behind the lessons learned in the total, unyielding dark. The ocean depths have granted us the ultimate sanctuary, demonstrating that the fiercest pressures of the physical world can be transformed into the greatest sources of stability and peace. The central message from the abyss is one of paradoxical resilience. We learn that the very forces we feared, the crushing pressure of 1,000 atmospheres and the eternal darkness, were in fact our greatest shields. The pressure eliminated chaos and enforced a stability no surface environment could ever match. The darkness eliminated visual distraction, forcing the mind to settle and rely on internal calm. The deep sea proves that true sustenance is often internal and unhurried. We witnessed life that thrived on slow, patient waiting for the marine snow, and life that created its own energy through chemosynthesis, powered by the Earth's core. The message is clear. Release the frantic chase for external light and energy, the resources you truly need. Your inner peace, your stability, your regenerative rest are sustained from within, regardless of the chaos raging on the surface. In the abyss, we found the Earth's most honest and unwavering rhythm. This rhythm is not the frenetic pace of human commerce, but the slow, deliberate beat of geologic time. We observed the vast daily vertical migration, a perfect cycle of effort, ascent to feed, followed by absolute rest, descent to safety. Allow this rhythm to anchor your own life. Recognize the necessity of moving between action and deep stillness. The deep teaches us that patience is metabolic efficiency. The longest living creatures are those who have mastered the art of waiting, moving only when necessary, and conserving every precious calorie of energy. You are now attuned to this pace, a rhythm that is slow, sustainable, and utterly secure. As we ascend, feel the protective weight of the water column slowly lifting, but allow the sense of being held to remain. The deep ocean has provided your final anchor, the profound, unshakable certainty that you are connected to the fundamental stability of the planet. You are no longer defined by turbulence or noise. You are defined by the uniform cold, the perfect hydrostatic balance, and the final silence. Carry this stillness with you. Let the Hadal paradox, that the most intense external force can guarantee the most profound internal peace, be the final, comforting thought that guides you into deep, effortless rest. The surface awaits, but the deep remains. You are safe, you are held, you are still.
Copa